you to do? I said, God, I'm disappointed, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to flow with it. I know these closed doors mean you have something better, so I'm going to take down my sails and let these winds blow us to where you want us to go. 6 months later, a friend called. Hadn't spoken to him in a long time, and he told me how the Houston Rockets basketball team was going to move out of the Compact Center. This city was going to be the city was going to put it up for sale. When I heard that, something came alive on the inside. By the grace of God, things fell into place. 3 years later, it was our building. The reason our plans don't work out many times is because they're too small. What God has in your future is bigger, better, more rewarding than you can imagine. Don't fight the wrongs. The wrongs are necessary to get you to the fullness of your destiny. It was wrong that the first man didn't keep his word. It was wrong that the second group sold the property out from under us. But I've discovered in this case, 2 wrongs were leading to a right. It was all a part of God's plan. I don't fault that first man anymore. It wasn't his choice. He was a pawn in the hand of God. He had to say no. He couldn't override God's purpose. That second group, they had to turn us down. God wanted that door closed. That wasn't rejection. That was protection. That was to keep us from missing the best plan God had for us. Now, there may be things in your life right now that you're disappointed over, that weren't fair, you don't understand. One day, you're going to look back and say like me, it had to happen. They had to say no. Judas had to betray me. My brothers had to throw me into the pit. The door had to close. The storm had to come. All these things had to go wrong so you could get to the right place. It's not just a detour, it's a divine detour. It's the hand of God ordering your steps. Years ago, Victoria lost her wedding band. This ring was very sentimental. It had been passed down from her grandmother to her mother and now to Victoria. For months, we looked everywhere for that ring. In every drawer, underneath every cushion, in her purse, her pant pockets. We combed the house, but nothing. I finally gave up and just thought, it's gone. 3 years later, one Sunday after service, we drove to Victoria, Texas, where I was going to speak for my sister and brother-in-law that night. It's a 2-hour drive. After the service, I was tired and ready to get back home. There wasn't a car on the road. Out there in the country, 11 o'clock at night. The speed limit was 60, but I was going a little bit over. I would tell you how fast, but my mother's on the front row. Victoria said, Joel, you better slow down. You're going to get a ticket. I said, Victoria, there's nobody out here. It's wide open. About that time, I saw these flashing red lights behind me. I looked over at her, and she just shook her head like I told you so. No mercy whatsoever. This officer came to my window, a young man. He was very nice, and I handed him my driver's license. He looked at it and said, you're that minister, aren't you? I said with a big smile, yes, I am. He said, my father is the head usher where you spoke tonight at Faith Family Church. I said, that's amazing. I talked to him. He's such a fine man. Lord, forgive me. He asked to see our insurance card. He wanted the insurance card. So Victoria started digging around the glove compartment. Couldn't find him anywhere. It was dark. Couldn't see anything. She finally pulled everything out, had it on her lap going through it. Then she reached deep into the back of the glove compartment and felt something hard, something strange. She maneuvered a little more, pulled it out. Lo and behold, it was her ring. She shouted like she had won the lottery. I thought, girl, you're rejoicing. I'm about to go to jail. She was like, I got my ring back. I'll come get you in 2 weeks. We told the officer, and he was very happy for us. He said, hey, I've been wanting to come to your church. If I do, will you get me a seat? I said, officer, I'll get you a whole section. He handed me my license, said, I'll see you next week. That was a divine detour. I didn't like getting pulled over. The fact is, I was in the wrong, but even my mistake was leading to a right. That's how good our God is. Mary was a teenager living in Nazareth. She was engaged to get married to a young man named Joseph. You can imagine how excited she was. She was planning a wedding, picking out her flowers, her girlfriend's giving her a shower. Joseph was a great catch, fine, upstanding man. This was one of the best times of her life. Then an angel came and told her she was going to have a baby without knowing a man, that he would be the Messiah. She couldn't believe it. This was an amazing news. Out of all the women in the world, she had been chosen to carry Jesus. What the angel didn't tell her was there were a lot of wrongs going to take place before the right came. In a sense, she was pregnant at the wrong time. She wasn't married yet. When she told Joseph she was going to have a baby, but it wasn't another man, it was the Holy Spirit, he said, yeah, right. What are you, joining the Real Housewives of Nazareth? I don't think so. He was so upset, he was about to break off the engagement. He wasn't going to be embarrassed, humiliated, his fiancée having a child that wasn't his. The angel had to come to Joseph. He said, I know this seems wrong. I know it's out of the ordinary, but Mary is telling the truth. Stay with her. I could hear people in town begin to talk. Look at Mary. Look at her. She's pregnant, not even married. Gossip, slander. That was hurtful. Another wrong. 9 months in, she was about to have the baby. And King Herod called for a census. Said everyone had to travel to Bethlehem to be accounted for. It was the wrong time to travel. She was tired, can't sleep, feet swollen, back hurts. And Joseph, you want me to get on a donkey and travel 90 miles to Bethlehem, bouncing up and down? You better go back and pray again. That word was not from God. They arrived in Bethlehem late one night. Joseph went to a hotel and asked for a room. The innkeeper said, sorry, no room tonight. We're full. Please, can't you do anything? My wife's about to have a baby. We've traveled a long time. Sorry, sir, we have nothing. Closed door, another wrong. I'm sure Mary wanted to tell that angel, you said I was going to give birth to Messiah. You said something awesome was going to happen, but you didn't tell me about all these other things. God was showing us you have to go through the wrongs before you get to the right. God will give you the promise. He'll drop the dream in your heart. But if you don't know how to handle the wrongs, if you don't realize the wrongs are all a part of His plan, that the wrongs are leading you to rights, then you'll get discouraged along the way, give up on the dream. Joseph located a bar.